All right, guys, we are covering support services. So these are all of the services that really support everything else. Okay? So you can see from this image here, you have, crop production, forest production, preserving habitats and biodiversity, water flow regulation, water quality regulation, carbon sequestration, regional climate, air quality regulation, infectious disease mediation. So supports all of this stuff. Okay? So we have it supports a natural ecosystem, croplands, and then restored ecosystem services. Okay? All right. Let's move on. So, ecosystem service or supportive services are necessary for the production or the maintenance of all other ecosystem services. We want to have food. We don't have supportive services, we won't get food. We want clean water under regulation. If we don't have support services supporting that, we won't have clean water. If we don't support or have supporting services such as I don't know, pollination and photosynthesis happening, then we can't appreciate the trees and nature and cultural. Okay? So it does impact people, whether it's directly or indirectly, and it can occur over a very long time. So you can see here the impact that's supporting on, really, it supports all three of these. Okay? See that in the corner here? So you have, under regulating, you have, again, water regulation, climate regulation, who helps control the CO2 emissions, national hazards regulation, so who helps to prevent the dumping of hazards, dumping of radioactive waste, whatnot. All that is under regulating, but supporting plays a role. Okay? Cultural, you have your recreation, ecotourism. Provisioning, again, you have your energy, fresh water. Supporting helps, by having a healthy environment for fisheries, let's say. Also down here, you have supporting services, specifically on nutrient cycling and primary productivity. Okay, so we're going to talk about those things today. So the first one, types of supporting services. Soil formation. Really, it starts with soil. All right, so how does soil form? How does that even happen? So think back to when life would begin. So if we have rock, through the natural processes of weathering and erosion and some organic matter that might come in, that starts to degrade. And with that organic matter that might come in from elsewhere through wind and weathering processes, now you are setting up life to begin. Soil, mineral fragments, and organic matter. And then later on, we will have greater plant growth. Okay? So this whole thing, soil formation, that's all part of supporting services. Okay? It has an impact. Can't have food, can't have provisioning if you don't have soil. Supporting services continuing, we have our nutrient cycling. So when we talk about nutrient cycling, back to biology class, when we talked about how nitrogen, phosphorus, and carbon cycles throughout the atmosphere, throughout the earth, all that is supporting services. All those nutrients that get cycled. Okay? Biomass production. So primary production provides the basis of the food web for all higher consumers, herbivores as well as carnivores. So that biomass production, again, these are some biology terms here. You always have the majority of any ecosystem is going to be your plants and your herbivores, primary predators, and then your secondary predators. Okay, so protecting this whole biomass production, making sure that this is doing what it's supposed to be doing, making sure the food web is intact, that's all supporting services. If you have something, say a dangerous pesticide or herbicide, herbicide's probably better, and that destroys the plants and kills all the plants, you're not going to have anything left because you won't have any herbivores because they eat the plants. You won't have any primary predators that eat the herbivores. And finally, you won't have any top level consumers that eat anything else. Okay, so it helps Keep everything in balance. That's be supporting services. So the production of atmospheric oxygen. So what we need to breathe. How do we get that? Photosynthesis. Okay. That's an absolutely essential supporting service. Oxygen forms the basis of any animal life on Earth. The impacts of oxygen concentrations would only occur over an extremely long period of time. The atmosphere has not always been as it is today. It will change again in the future, and it is closely controlled by life and in turn controls life processes. Okay? So over time, having this oxygen available for us to breathe through photosynthesis, having photosynthesis happen through plants, having clean oceans for phytoplankton and algae to give us oxygen, that's all part of supporting services. Habitat provision. So in addition to having photosynthesis, we have to maintain the habitat that animals live in, that trees survive in, that grass grows in. And it's also important for long-term effects on the diversity of life, for food, water, shelter, and species richness. All right, so that was supporting services, folks. Habitat provision, so providing a place to live, to having enough oxygen to survive and breathe through photosynthesis, to biomass production, keeping the food balance and food web in check, to cycling the nutrients that we need to survive, getting the nitrogen for the plants for food and whatnot, to forming soil so that we have plants. And that's it. Okay. Have a nice day.